Speech off.
Hey everybody, it's Beverly with Bama Blind. Let me show Gretchen. We're at an intersection and we're fixing to cross. And we're going on a walk, specifically on this day, because I'm eager to see. Okay, I'm painting down that way. Here comes a car. I can hear it. There it goes. Here comes a car right behind it. This is a two-way stop, so the cars that are directly in front of me do not have to stop. That one just turned, but I don't know that. Sounds good to me. Forward, Gretchen. She's going to lead me across the across the street to the sidewalk. When I first got her, she veered way out into the street. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, that was one of the reasons that I got a guide dog, because when I walk with a cane, I way tend to veer. And with Gretchen, you don't have to worry about veering, except for when I first got her and she had no idea where she was going. So I'm going to stop right here. So she went right across the street to that house. Now, ironically, because I grew up in this town, my great-grandmother lived in that house. But on that night that she veered across, I was totally lost. And there were two young guys that lived there, and they saw me coming up on their porch, and I knew it wasn't my front porch, but they were so sweet, and they said, you have got the wrong house, and we will escort you across the street to your house. And this was like the very first time that I went out with Gretchen. So this morning I'm going to walk because I want to see, it's what we call around here trash day. And we have these trash cans in our town where everybody puts their trash, like I guess a lot of towns do that. And they're big old plastic bins. And then sometimes they're in the middle of the sidewalk. So we like to go walking on this day particularly. They pick them up once a week. And we like to go walking on this day particularly because I like to exercise Gretchen in finding obstacles, not like my previous video, not like cars parked illegally on the sidewalk. When there's a trash can on the sidewalk on trash day, that really can't be helped. And sometimes if I'm able, I will just move it off of the sidewalk because I can do that. But we're just walking, and one of the other things I wanted to video, particularly today, is information about the sidewalk. This sidewalk is very level. There are very few divots. There are very few cracks. And I can't say that is the way it's always been. It was that way when I was a child and walked to my grandparents' house from first grade. But forward, Gretchen. Forward. Leave it. Good girl. Good girl. But sidewalks, most people don't know this, but public sidewalks fall under the Americans with Disabilities Act. And so you are entitled to walk or traverse. You have the right to do that according to the ADA. And it is not up to the homeowner to ensure that public sidewalks are well maintained to ADA standards. And the ADA standards are very, very specific. And so about 9 years ago, I brought this to the attention of our city council in my hometown, and they just basically dismissed it. I think they felt that I didn't know what I was talking about, and even the attorney said, well, just, you're going to have to sue us because we're not fixing the sidewalks. And so I explained to them it's not a suable offense that public sidewalks were amended to be included into the Americans with Disabilities Act, and all you have to do as a person that needs the sidewalk is to file a formal complaint with the Department of Justice, and it's a one-sheet complaint. And so I told them it wasn't a suable offense, it's a finable offense, meaning that if the person from the Department of Justice had to come and examine our city sidewalks, they would be fined. And that's exactly what happened. And so the next thing you know, all of this, I'm going to point right here, all of this sidewalk here is nice and smooth. There might be one little divot right here is nice and smooth. And I was told specifically about this house here and the owners. I was told by the city council president that the city just could not come in and fix the sidewalk because it might hurt this homeowner's trees. that was the logic. You know, they just didn't want to put in the money and they didn't want to accept responsibility. I happen to live in a very old town. It's a historic town. And ironically, the city actually, by deed, owns the sidewalk. And that's pretty rare. Usually the homeowner will own the property under the sidewalk. But, you know, like in my deed, my house and my neighbor's deeds, our property actually ends before the city sidewalk starts. And then certainly that little piece of grass between the sidewalk and the curb and gutter is owned by the city. So needless to say, the Department of Justice sent down a nice man, and I think it fell under the Department of Transportation, and they basically started fixing all the sidewalks, and people since then have been able to do so many more things in this downtown area. This is what's called a mixed district. And one of the reasons that we purchased a house here is because, well, it's my hometown and we purchased my grandparents' house. But one of the benefits that really weighed heavily is that I walk out my front door and I'm on a nice city sidewalk that can lead me to, there's a church straight ahead. There are probably 8 churches within 4 city blocks here. There is a public library, 2 parks, a museum, coffee shops and bakeries and restaurants and pubs and gift shops, and there's just all kinds of stuff. Certainly my nail salon. But now this is a pretty dangerous part right here. This is truncated bumps that are lifting up, and I'm going to show those. They just peel right off. This is like some sort of a plastic that's applied to the sidewalk, and it's buckled up. And then the sidewalk has a steep ramp that goes down if I were going to cross that street right there. Gretchen and I don't usually cross the street here. Sometimes we have. Usually we make a turn, and when you make a turn, you go up the same kind of incline. So this is really, really dangerous. Gretchen knows to be careful here. I know that it's coming up. Let me get her leash. There we go, girl. Now she's ready to go. But the other reason that I'm talking about sidewalks particularly, and so far we haven't run into any trash cans so far, and that's okay, is that over the past 2 weeks, I have had 3 neighbors within 1 city block within my house, my house's city block, my neighborhood, who have fallen. One broke a leg, one chipped a tooth and burst her lip so that she needed stitches. Forward, Gretchen. Forward. Leave it. Leave it. Leave it means leave it alone. So that's her sign for leave it. And it's probably trash that's falling out. But so we've had one of my neighbors broke her leg, She tripped her toe on one of the divots when she was walking down the sidewalk. Another neighbor tripped and fell flat on her face and really hurt her mouth badly. And then another neighbor fell, and he's okay. And to say that I had fallen before. I fell in New Jersey, and I think the reason that I did so much falling when I first got Gretchen is because my emotions were saying go, go, go. I was so excited to be able to walk at my pace, not another person's pace, and not at a pace that I usually walk with my cane, unless I'm in a familiar place. But anyway, when I got Gretchen and I was just flying and she was flying, and I had not learned the proper gait. So, I fell several times, hurt my knee badly, and it healed within a month. But it was pretty gimpy there for a while. And I say that because everybody falls, but I find that it's interesting that if you know how to walk, and I mean with a gait, people get gait training when they break a leg and they have to learn to walk again, or if they have a stroke, they get gait training. Any kind of surgery on their leg or knee or hip, they get gait training. And to my knowledge, there's no gait training provided for people with sight loss. And there should be, because I have discovered that there is a specific gait, a specific way to walk, which really helps minimize or avoid tripping. And so I'm going to do a video on that. It's called the roll through step, where you roll your heel and then roll it on through to your toe, and then when your toe is behind you, you just push off. And when you learn to do that, you're picking up your toes. When you learn to do that, well, your toe avoids a lot of gaps in the sidewalk, a lot of cracks that stick up, and it works wonderful. So I'm going to do a video of that, just talking about sidewalks and walking. And I'm so thrilled we haven't run into any trash cans. So I'm going to end the video here. But let us go across this four-way stop because Gretchen's cool. And we'll do the four-way stop here, and then I'll end the video. We're not walking really fast, and the reason is I needed to focus on what I was saying, and Gretchen needs, my attention constantly. Good girl. Okay, now we stopped, and there's a car coming up beside me, and I'll video that. There it goes. And see, I didn't know if it had a blinker on or not. And if I don't hear a car coming across now, we'll go for Gretchen. And my parallel traffic over my left shoulder is going at the same time I am. So that's good. People a lot of times at this four-way stop try to tell me when to go, or they try to sit there for 10 minutes to anticipate what I'm thinking. So I will end this video here, and